This ball gown actually started quite a few years ago when I went to a big fabric warehouse called S.R. Harris. I found a bunch of this like mock silk dupioni stuff that I thought was super pretty. I loved like the slight color shift to it. And I bought over 6 yards. I don't remember how much. I just know once you hit like 5 yards, you have to get it cut by an employee. And I got quite a bit of this. And then I came up with a ball gown design a few years ago. I don't know if I still have it. If I do, I'll put it up somewhere. But I came up with a design for that, and I wanted to start with a skirt. So when I first made the skirt, I didn't line it. I just added a pocket into it. And if you know anything about fabric, like this type of really delicate flowy fabric, you know that's not a good idea. I ended up wearing the skirt to a little birthday picnic I had with my friends. And after that, I was like, wow, perfect time, let's start on like a bodice for it. So that's what I did. I draped it on myself, and when I really liked how the lining was fitting, I instantly went for putting on the fashion fabric. And this is where I really started to struggle, and I decided I absolutely hated it. I did not like this top, so I just completely threw it out. Then in 2024, I decided to start working on the bodice of the ball gown because I was going to be chaperoning the high school prom, and it's a thing where all the teachers that are chaperoning dress up as well, so that's what I did. Once I restarted the bodice, I draped it around my dress form this time because I padded out my dress form, and then I fit it to my body to double check certain spots were fitting correctly because my mannequin is still not perfect. Once I had all the lining and it fit me well, I added boning just to double check, and I really like how that turned out. And then back on the dress form it went. And then from here, I started draping on the fashion fabric. When I draped on the fashion fabric, I did it little sections by sections to make sure everything looked exactly how I wanted it to. And then I added on the really pretty gold at the top, and it turned out something like this, which was really simple, and it had lace up the back. It was nice. I wasn't really thinking about like a front closure at the time. I really should have done that instead, but it was too late by the time I started actually working on the real ball gown. So going back to the lining the skirt, I didn't line the skirt, I just left it completely seam ripped. That's okay. I left it all like this until the fall of 2025, when I ended up scoring tickets to Sostien's Art Nouveau ball in Chicago. While the ball was in March of 2026 and I had basically an entire year to work on this, I was also a full-time college student. The first half of the year I had a lot of in-person classes, and then the second half of the year I was in 18 credits. And I was going on this trip and another trip, and I had 2 other projects I needed to finish in the fall as well. So my schedule was pretty full and I was pretty swamped, but I made do. At this point, I continued where I left off with seam ripping the skirt, and I completely removed the pocket because this fabric was falling apart along the edge of the pocket, and I didn't trust it to hold. Pardon the lighting, it's really bad. But I have been seam ripping and ironing all 6 panels, which is the 3 skirt like fashion fabric and then like the white cotton lining. I've been doing that all day. I started around like 11 and it is now like almost 4 p.m. and I'm finally just finished ironing it. I'm so tired of ironing. So then I attempted to line the skirt, and I realized that the fabric was so warped that I can only line the front panel. The rest of it would not line up properly with the cotton that I bought. Bad lighting again. But I really didn't want to like baste throughout the entire fabric, but this fabric just will not sit flat at all, and I think it's maybe because of how much I've had to I sewn it once, seam ripped it, sewn it again, seam ripped it, so I'm thinking the weave got a little messed up because it's pretty delicate. So I had to go in and do some basting because if I just lifted it or shifted it, it would start to bubble, and it's driving me crazy. But I think once I have it sewn up around the edges like this, it'll be fine, I'm hoping. The fabric was just so messed up. Despite all my basting and stuff, when I did the sewing along the bottom edge, it still bubbled a little bit. So I unpicked it and it seemed to have made it a little bit better. But it's just me fighting the warping of this fabric, and it's driving me insane. So I'm just going to iron it and push the fabric down and see where it sits down here. I'm glad I didn't sew along the edges to all the fabric yet. I just did it to here and this panel. So that is what I'll be getting down to next. So I decided to leave the front panel line, but then I ended up seam ripping the entire back 2 panels because they were warped too much, and the entire time I was doing this, I was entertained by Datacraft. We are on air. I'm here. And because of the warping and the dress not being structurally sound with this fabric, I had to make a change of plans. Oh my god. So upsetting news, I cannot get the back panels to actually sit with the lining, and it's making me so angry. So instead of doing this as like a ruffle, because I wanted to do the lining because it would just drag it down, instead I'm just going to add this to the front panel here and do some sort of like thing with the sides so they don't have to be aligned, and then I'll just do the little extra embroidery that I want to do with the leaves that I have up here. And this change of plans really overwhelmed me, so I decided to completely change course and worked on the bodice. I mostly tacked on appliques and adjusted the back panel to ensure everything looked nice and neat. I wanted to share before I forget, but I completely finished the top. It's all sewn in, and it fits. And then from there, I once again moved back to the skirt. Also, ignore the pile of historical clothes. I also started draping the skirt a little differently. I wanted to see how a ruffle looks in the front. And I'm tempted to, instead of having just a straight side, have this one curve a little bit so you can see a bit of a ruffle. I would love to have the ruffle stick out of the back just a little bit, so I might lift that up a hair. I'm not sure yet, but we will see. I made some strange plans so that I can ensure I can still use the fashion fabric but still add on the amount of ruffles I wanted on this dress and a train. This fabric was not going to hold any of that up. So I took the front panel, which was still lined with the cotton, and then I added the pretty applique overlay on top of that. And then from there, I didn't attach it to the fashion fabric. I attached it to the cotton lining instead. Currently right now, I am just folding over the seam and sewing it shut just so that the fraying fabric of the green is protected. It looked a bit silly at this point, but the back panels had to come later in order to make sure everything was structurally sound. But now, since we were focusing on like the weird lining portion of the skirt, I wanted to add on the hem. I don't know if you can see me very well, but it's been chaotic and hectic, and I'm exhausted, but I've been slowly working on my ball gown. So I ended up sewing this on. I still need to iron it, but what I'm going to do is this is hard to do with one hand. I'm going to turn and fold this up underneath to create a little hem. And for the hem, I just did some bias tape, which I just sewed along the edge, and then I flipped upside down and then sewed across. I wasn't too worried about like stitching being seen because this was going to be underneath all of the layers. Anything that would be seen outside would completely cover this. Ignoring the laundry I have to put away, this is where I'm at. I have the front completely sewn together. Now I'm trying to figure out the dust ruffle. Because the fabric is so warped, I can't put this together like a typical skirt. So I have to do this in a weird puzzle. And I'm thinking of attaching the dust ruffle now. And I kind of want more of a train, because now it's at my actual height. And now I know I want a little bit of extra room in the back. So that is what I'm doing right now. I know I wanted the train in like the pretty ruffled gold applique, and I laid that out at one point, and I realized, oh, it looks kind of weird, so I need some green under it. So then I cut out some green, attached that. I realized that the green kind of rumpled weirdly and didn't like spread out like a proper train because I wasn't thinking. It was really late. This was literally the night that I had to head over to start journeying down to Chicago. So I just cut slits and like flat lined it, like rolled it enough so where it wasn't gonna, you know, catch on anything and fray really bad because it's really delicate fabric. I just slapped it on and just lined it. After that was all done, I realized I didn't really like how flat it looked Like, now it was completely flat, but there was nothing like to it, and I wanted more volume. So then I made this massive cotton ruffle, and I attached it all along the inside of the white cotton. I haven't been able to record because I've been so busy working on this. I have to leave tonight, but this is where I'm at. And I just need the bit, I just need to sew that on and then add the overlay, and I should be good to go. I didn't get much footage for this part because, as I said, this was like the night I was going to head to Chicago. So I quickly added some dust ruffles along the edge and really pretty lace. And of course, before I could actually go to the ball, I made sure the top layer was completely added with the waistband. And this layer is completely detached and just sewn by hand along the sides of the front panel, and in the back where the closure is, that's where it's detached. The rest of it just flows freely. Then I really wanted to ensure I had a way to dance without tripping on my dress, so I added a gold cord at the bottom of the train, which I can pick up and use. And then I went to my first ever historical costuming ball. It was a blast. I met a lot of really cool people there, and a lot of costumers and historical YouTubers that I enjoy watching there. It was so much fun. Everyone was so wonderful. People were so sweet. I can't wait to go to another one of these. And next time I hope I can vlog so I can take you with me. Thank you for coming on this dress journey, and I will see you soon until the next time you time travel. Bye!